Friend, today we are chatting all things LED lights. Yes, I said it, LED lights. Even though this caption says laser, we are going to go through the truth of what you as a teeth whitening technician, regardless of if you're in the dental, medical, or beauty industry, you are using an LED light. I know clickbait and also uneducated educators are teaching you that you're using a laser, but friend, we're going to chat all things today. You are not using a laser, and we're going to dive into why and also what exactly is your LED light? Do you need an LED light? What's the scoop? So get ready, grab those headphones. It's going to be a great one, and you might want a notepad. Let's dive into this week's episode. If you are a teeth whitening or tooth gem specialist, this is the podcast for you. My name's Rach, and I am the industry leader of all things teeth entrepreneurship. Together, let's learn from real-life experiences to must-have brands on how to take your business to the next level and leave that 9-to-5. Friend, welcome to Whitening Wednesday, and I'm so glad you are here. Let's build a safe industry together. Before diving into this week's episode of the Whitening Wednesday podcast, let's give a shout out to our sponsor, Fern Whitening Supplies. If you're unaware, Fern is one of the only distributors of the Beyond 2 Ultralight. It is the only whitening accelerator on the market. What is a whitening accelerator? So an accelerator is a high intensity output LED light that is going to dehydrate safely and quickly, which will also allow you to oxidize out the gels that you are using the quickest. So in a nutshell, you're going to get the quickest and safest results with a high output accelerator, which is the one and only the Beyond 2 Ultra. Shop at Fern Whitening Supplies. If you're in the United States, it can ship right away. If you are in Canada, jump on our wait list as it will be coming your way within the next few weeks. So friend, grab the Ultra Beyond, cut down your chair time, and see more clients. More clients, more money. Let's get into this week's episode of the Whitening Wednesday podcast. LED lights. This is a hard topic because it's very controversial in this uneducated space. So, I guess before we can talk LED lights, which is what you're actually using, we need to talk about lasers. So, why is the word laser even associated with teeth whitening technicians? I'm not sure exactly why this started, but I have a hunch. My hunch is that a laser sounds much more professional, catchy, and also something that you would want to do. Like, for example, laser just sounds better than an LED light technician because LED doesn't sound as fancy or as new as, say, a laser does. So I have a feeling companies just started branding LED lights as lasers, technicians started doing it, and then the public started thinking that these LED lights are actually lasers. And here we are. Here we are with people thinking that you're actually using a laser on them. So why is this false information? First things first is that an actual laser has to be purchased by a medical professional. We're talking MDs, we're talking DDSs, and some hygienists and RNs can purchase, but they would have to hold certain certificates and they would have to have extensive trainings on laser machines. Now, lasers are also extremely expensive. you're talking the lowest laser cost, like the basic is maybe around $3,000, but that's a basic laser. So lasers are very, very expensive and they're used for very important procedures. And they're much more in-depth procedures compared to teeth whitening. So, can you use one of these in-depth lasers for teeth whitening? Yes, there are some laser companies in the dental industry that sell their laser for a variety of different reasons. Like we're talking gingivectomies, we're talking also like some laser fillings, we're talking about like gum grafts, a bunch of stuff. So there's a bunch of different ways a laser can be used safely in the dental industry for a variety of great procedures. So, since these dentists are putting out so much money for these lasers, they can also use it as a teeth whitening addition if they want to. Not very common. There's only a couple companies that actually sell gels with their laser in the dental world, but honestly, it's not a very popular way to do teeth whitening. So, it is able to be done, but honestly, you cannot purchase these, okay? So these lasers are not what you are purchasing. So what are you actually purchasing? Okay, if you Google teeth whitening lamp, teeth whitening laser, etc., throughout the internet, you're going to get a variety of different pop up links and different options. So let's chat about the basic LED lights that you can find on Amazon. Okay, Amazon's a big hub here. So when you type in these keywords, these clickbait words, you're getting the same few lights, okay? And then these are the low level lights that the majority of low level suppliers are also reselling as well. So these are, I would say, the lights that get pushed through this unregulated industry the absolute most are these low level lights. So why am I calling them low level lights? So I'm calling them low level lights because from a quality standpoint, they're pretty crappy. They are definitely low quality. But then also from an actual output standard, these are low intensity lights too. So let's talk about it. What is the general rule for quality on a light? So first things first is what's really important with an LED light is you want arm reach and arch reach. Arm reach is going to be that length that you're going to be able to get height off of your light. Why would you want height? You want height because depending on where you are, if you're doing pop-ups, mobiles, or if you're even just in one location, depending on the chair that you're using and the actual physical space that you have, the height of the light is very important because if this is fluctuating, say like for a mobile, then your height of your chairs are always going to be fluctuating and giving you different angles. So if you have one of these low quality lights that is very limited in height reach, you're not going to hit the oral cavity very well. Okay. Not at all. So that's why low quality lights, really crappy arm reach. Arch reach. So the arch reach is going to be literally how much of the arch gets covered with these LED lights. So again, the low quality lights, you're going to have really short arch reach. It means that the span width wise is very, very short. You're going to be lucky to get it past the cuspids to get any oxidization off of those premolars or molars. So say if you have a client with a really big smile line, that's going to be really difficult to not only oxidize out the gels post your cuspids, but also if you're using your LED light to also cure like a gingival barrier, it's going to be messy, it's going to be droopy, and it's going to be a headache. So arch reach is huge on lights. Now that third piece of the puzzle is your intensity. So your intensity is literally the power output that your light gives. So why are you looking for intensity purposes? So intensity is going to be important for you to know because that's going to be how much output is getting put onto the tooth structure. And then also how quickly most likely it's going to oxidize out your gels. Now, depending on the peroxides that you're working with, this work time is going to be slightly different depending on what fillers are in your gel and also how photosensitive your gel is as well. Like if you have a photosensitive gel, then ideally you're going to want as high of output as possible. But if you don't, then intensity definitely still is something to look at, but it's not as important as a photosensitive agent. So that being said, that means that, of course, make sure you understand how your gel works and what the makeup is of it, but then also your intensity. So what do we know about chairside whitening? We need to get to a form of safe dehydration to get the absorption process started. So the lower intensity you have, the harder it's going to be to get to dehydration state. That also means that if you are working with lower intensities, you're not going to oxidize out those gels very well. So that means you're probably leaving a lot of active power on the table and or it's going to take longer for them to completely activate, which again, as we know, your chair time is your money time. So the longer you're taking with these lights, the longer you're wasting your client's time and your time. So think about that. Low level intensity lights, they are wasting you time. Now, another thing is here, since it is lower intensity, these are also typically used with crappy low percentage gels, low quality, low percentage. So these are usually a combination of technicians doing 4, 5, 6 rounds of light time because their lights are so low in intensity, they have to get any sort of dehydrated result. And also, their crappy gels aren't really going to oxidize out at all. So they have to keep pushing these low level intensity lights because for the gels to oxidize and for the light to dehydrate, it takes so much time. So these are those technicians that are taking, 60, 90 minutes of full light time on the tooth structure, which means the patient's there forever. It's like a crown prep. It's ridiculous. So low level lights, why are they on the market? Well, they're cheap. Okay. That's the number one thing. They're so cheap. That's why they're on the market and that's why they flood the market. So again, these are pretty much any lights you can find on Amazon. These are your low level lights. And also these are your lights that are coming from low level educators and suppliers. These are the lights that you see. Now, don't get me wrong, if you are really, really on a tight budget, a light is better than nothing due to social media. We are going to talk about this a little later on, so don't worry. We'll come back to this thought. But what I always advise is if you are starting with such a low budget that you have to get one of these low quality lights to start your business, friend, it's not time for you to start a business. Okay? As much as that's going to suck to hear, if you can't afford a decent light, you're not going to be able to afford advertising. You're not going to be able to afford your digital presence. And you're probably not going to be able to afford a safe and effective space. Even if that's in your home, that's still going to provide quality updates to perform intraoral services. Okay? Think about that. Be safe. Save a little bit more, okay? Make sure that you're at a point where you can really launch your business to be safe and effective and also give quality results. So you can also charge premium prices. So that is the market, are these low level lights, and these are usually being called lasers. That is the first light market. Then we move into the medium light market, I like to call it. So these are your dental lights. Now, when I say quote unquote dental lights, these are lights that are being sold by dental distributors. And typically the outreach on these are 11,000 plus. So that being said, let's backtrack a little bit. Those low level lights, a lot of the low level lights that you're getting off of Amazon are at a 2,500 intensity level. That's pretty low. I would say bare minimum, you want to be at a 6,000 intensity level. Okay. Side note. Now let's jump back to these medium quality lights. These medium quality lights, they're being sold by dental distributors and They are great in arm reach and arch reach. These guys don't mess around, okay? They know that they're selling into a premium market, so they know they need premium quality. And this is also because since they know they are selling into that premium market, not only does that quality have to be great from like an actual output standpoint, but it also has to look good. Like if you're paying top-notch dollars for a teeth whitening session, you don't want some raggedy little light that looks like it's going to fall apart, can barely reach the arch, etc. You're paying for quality. So you are buying what you want to charge for, right? You get what you pay for. So these lights really hold the market in the dental sector. They are easily going to be anywhere from $1,600 to $3,300. So they do really start creeping up and hitting more of that low level laser price. But again, they're not a laser. So why are they so much more expensive than those low level lights? So you're moving up into intensity. You're getting the best arch reach and the best arm reach, and you're probably having lots of different features. So lots of different time features, lots of different intensity features of up and down on your intensities. And then you also are getting your red and your blue light. Pretty seamless. That's the most common, is your red and your blue light are coming that you can do together or separate. So these are our mid intensity level lights. These are the ones that I prefer to work with and that we have the most of with when our techs were out and about were these mid level lights. And honestly, the best. Highly, highly, highly recommend. Now, let's talk high intensity lights. These lights are the standard of lights, like the preem crop lights, but they are very expensive and they are definitely something that you have to get used to working with. So when we're talking these high intensity lights, we're talking output of 26,000 to 36,000 intensity. This is drastically stronger than those low levels and double of your mid levels. So this intensity is crazy. Now, these lights also typically come with clips and specific retractors, which means you have to use their retractors to use their machines. And it's because these clips are going directly onto the retractors, so you're not getting any missed arch space. So these are the extreme excellent arch catchers. Like you're hitting every single tooth in that arch, regardless, every single time. If a patient moves, etc., it doesn't matter. That arch is always being cleared. So these are why it's so expensive for these lights, because there's so many extra pieces of the unit that are just literally, like you could say, patient dummy proof. Like they are just, everything's been thought of on how to make sure you get the best contact for the shortest amount of time. So with these types of lights, that's where you are able to cut your sessions down significantly, because usually you're doing 2 to 3 rounds of 12 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Really depends on the gels that you're working with on these lights. And really, yeah, the output, if you're putting it on low or high. So these are your biggest money makers. They're going to be your most cost up front. But man, if you can get a full session from start to finish in chair in 45 minutes, like you're turning over, starting a new patient every 45 minutes, that is where the cash flows at. And plus, since you're getting to such a quick state of safe dehydration, your patients are also getting the optimal results as well. So regardless of what product you're working with, these results are literally going to be what your patient is thinking of, because it's literally what it says. These are typically called accelerator lights because they are literally accelerating the process. I would save up for this light. I mean, in a perfect world, if you can budget this in on top of advertising dollars, on top of renos, etc., do this. Get the high quality lights. But if you need to stay lower in budget to make sure you can get your advertising, etc., then go for a lower option light. But just remember that this should be your gold standard when you can. So, what light is this? This is typically, as our sponsor said, is the Beyond 2 Ultra. Right now, they literally don't have any other competition on the market. They hold this market space. There's no reason for anybody else to mimic it because they've thought of everything. On top of like excellent arch and arm reach, you're also getting air purification, and you are also getting, you can see two clients at once. So you can get two different mouthpieces. You have over 3 meters each way of space. So you could even put these cords through a wall if you wanted to, so that clients are still apart, or a divider or something like that. But lots of different options, but two clients at once. Honestly, this is where you would make your money. So now that we've kind of broken down a low, a medium, and a high level LED light, let's actually talk about why are LED lights even needed. So lots of studies will tell you that LED lights are actually bullshit. You heard it here first. LED lights are bullshit. But I would beg to differ. So don't get me wrong. I still strongly agree that the magic of your chairside session is your quality of gels. If you're working with low quality gels, you're going to get low quality results. So gels are the most important piece of the puzzle on top of your prep steps. So remember, if you're exfoliating prior to putting on bleaching gels, obviously your results are going to be 10 times better opposed to somebody who's not. So that makes a difference too. But another piece of the puzzle is actually the scientific makeup of your gels. So remember, if you have a photosensitive agent in your gels, that means it has to have LED light contact to actually start to oxidize. Kind of think of your gingival barrier. Your gingival barrier has a photosensitive agent because it starts off as a liquid and it has to harden. Well, some whitening gels, even though they don't start as a liquid and harden, they start in a form and they can't release or oxidize out the peroxides until it comes into light contact. So that's why you will see lots of gels on the market that say that they require a light or that they don't require a light. So in the dental industry, there are a few companies that really push that a light is not required because they feel like they're going to stand in front of the market because, well, hey, the dental office doesn't have to buy a light. But if you read in the fine print on every single one of these companies' like breakdown, it shows that lights aren't required, but highly recommended. So what do we know? Remember, chairside whitening is just the jumpstart technique. So if you actually want to provide visual instant results for your client, you need an LED light to get you into that state of safe dehydration. Of course, we know there are lots of technicians out there that are doing unsafe levels of dehydration, but if you're doing it safe and effectively, you want low levels of dehydration to start the absorption process and also give you that instant gratification look. Why those gels continue to work in the back end post chair time. So are LED lights needed? That's really going to depend on your gel breakdown. And then also, what type of results do you want to give your patients chairside? It's a hot topic. So scientifically, does it actually change the bleaching process? Well, that really depends on your specific state. Now, why do techs still call it a laser? Let's think about everything we just discussed. At the end of the day, thanks to social media, if you don't have an LED light, your patient isn't going to pay you high premium prices. Okay? They are expecting that glowy blue, purple color to be the piece of the puzzle. They think that's what's making their teeth brighter. So I always advise, do your research, definitely build a budget, but you need to make sure that if you are providing a safe and effective teeth whitening service, you understand the difference between LED lights and lasers, and then also between the different types of LED lights. So think about the light that you have right now. How is your arch reach? How is your arm reach? Do you find that it gets really, really hot? Because if it's getting really, really hot, that's going to lead to pulpal inflammation. So that means you have a low budget light, friend. So think about that. And from there, think about, okay, how does this look? Does it look professional? Does it look cheap? Am I charging a fair amount of money for my services? Or am I charging a low amount and this low budget light fits that? So think about it. Now, don't get me wrong. I know some great providers who 1,000% know the difference between an LED and a laser, but they still use laser on their website. Why is this? It's for SEO and clickbait purposes. At the end of the day, I know everyone's goal is to get bums in seats. And if it is doing clickbait words, I mean, that's going to have to be up to you to decide on your marketing angle. But if you are using laser in your bio, your website, your ads, I just would really, really advise that when your patient does actually come in to see you, take a moment to explain that you are not using a laser and that you know what the LED light actually does. The more we can educate the public, the more that we can help keep scammers out of this industry and also make sure that clients continue to stay safe. So, friend, what do you think? Are you going to continue to use the word laser teeth whitening technician, or is there a different word that you want to call yourself moving forward? Let's chat about it in the comments. Don't forget to leave us a review and some stars.